Oh man, it's cold today. I think I'm just going to live in this all day. It's the warmest thing I now earn. And I've got 2 jumpers on underneath this. Roll on spring, it'll soon be here. Anyway, I wanted to talk about 2023. I thought that last year was going to be my reset year. I made plans and I decided, right, this is the year I'm going to get X, Y, and Z in place. So my 2 main things that I wanted to do were, firstly, I wanted to set up my own website, because before then I was only selling on Etsy, and never put all your eggs in one basket. And I was getting more and more concerned about, if something happens to Etsy or my shop gets shut down, I have no outlet to sell on. So I did a lot of research into it, and I ended up going with Shopify. And I spent all of March last year getting my shop ready. I have lots and lots of items in my Etsy shop, and most of them, probably about 400 items, needed to be migrated over. So all the garments, all the jewellery and all the coasters I wanted to be for sale on my Shopify store. I was then going to also leave them on Etsy until they expired, but I wanted to keep using Etsy as a place to sell haberdashery fabrics, that sort of thing. And I decided to keep the coasters on there as well. So I spent all of March setting that up, and then it's in place. Great, it's ready. I have somewhere else. If something happens to Etsy, I'm not cut off from the internet. That's great. At the same time, I decided that I wanted to set up a YouTube channel for my business. Now, I had been running a personal YouTube channel for about 3 or 4 months before that, and I'd got a feel for it. I knew what I was doing. I was still very early days. I've never been a selfie taker. I've never been into taking videos of myself. So it was a slow learning curve of just getting confident, learning how to use video editing software, because I'd never done that before, and just getting into the feel of how it worked. And for that channel, that's actually been a really easy process. My personal channel is very transparent. It's just me going about my day-to-day life, frugal living, budget shopping, frugal living, negotiating benefit systems, all that sort of thing, negotiating the cost of living crisis. And it's done really well. And 2 days short of 1 year since I started that channel, my YouTube got monetized. It was suddenly around, I think, September, October time, it just suddenly took off because of, I think probably because of certain videos that I was, or certain things I was talking about, but also my traffic just increased. I think more people were suddenly finding me, and as my subscribers went up and my views went up, so more and more people found me. So that channel has been really easy to run. I haven't had to think very hard about it. I just sit there and do what I'm doing now, which is just point and shoot. But the business channel has been much, much more difficult. I am 2 months away from being here for a year now, and I've only just got 60 subscribers. And I get that that's multiple things. I think that YouTube is really more of a for me personally, is more a place where you go to watch people's just day-to-day lives. It's a way of connecting with people all around the world. But I also think that for small businesses like mine, the business channels are really useful if you get to see how other people are doing in business, what their struggles are, how you how they are negotiating those things and how you can use the way that they're managing it to help with your business. But I've tried different things, so I've been experimenting. So I've done a lot of product shorts because it introduces people to what I do. And that's had some traffic, but it hasn't got the attention that I kind of hoped. So I've started, towards the end of last year, I started doing more videos like this, some time lapse of me making something, me chatting to the camera about certain aspects of my business. So I think I'm going to do that for now, because I've seen small handmade businesses and they mostly do what I'm doing now. There aren't that many that do just product shorts, but also there will be those who will do like almost like a knit and natter, or let's sewing whilst we have coffee, and you can watch people working on their latest project while they talk about various things that are going on in the world, and that's really nice as well. So I'm trying to do a little bit of that as well. So that's my new experiment for this year. But for last year, YouTube just didn't seem to work for me on the business side, and I've become really disillusioned with the whole social media thing. So I worked really hard on Instagram earlier last year. Absolute waste of time. It's such a saturated market. I also tried Pinterest, but I think one of the problems I have is that I don't have the equipment to produce good videos for Pinterest. And quite frankly, I'm sick of social media. I'm sick of playing the game. And although all these social media channels like to think of themselves as places to shop, I don't think most people use it for that. I am sick of all the adverts on social media. I am sick of having things sold at me, whether I want to see it or not. YouTube has ramped up the adverts, started stopping people from using ad block. Instagram is just adverts and sponsored posts absolutely everywhere. Pinterest is pretty saturated. I don't even use Pinterest anymore as a creator because I'm just sick of all the adverts. It's changed so much. And this last year's been really hard. Cost of living crisis has continued to bite, interest rates, inflation, and it's relentless. And unless you stop watching all the news programs, everything's just so depressing. We have so many wars, there are so many things going on, there are so many attacks going on. There's been another one overnight with, I think it's in London, with some kind of corrosive fluid being thrown at people in the street. It's just awful. There's just so many awful things going on, and I just feel so drained. I think I'm going to have a ban on the news for a bit, because every time I open the news app, it's just awful things. There's nothing good going on out there in the world. And it's winter now, so already we're a little bit depressed. January has now come to an end. We're now in February, but it's really cold and it's really dark and it rains, and we've had one cold snap and we're waiting for the next one, and we're all longing for spring. And I feel like I just need to take a little bit of a break from the news, because it's just so depressing and it's really starting to wear me down. So last year, the other thing that I saw, the first half of the year wasn't too bad. It was a bit buoyant. I was still getting Etsy traffic, I'm still making a few sales, and then it really tanked around the 6-month mark. And when I look at my sales for 2023 compared to 2022, I've lost 2/3 of my income. That was from my business, so basically from Etsy. Traffic's down, people aren't buying stuff, they're worried about keeping a roof over their heads, food on the table, hanging on to their jobs. It's just really depressing. I've seen so many house closures around where I live, and so many people moving because they just can't afford their mortgages and their rent anymore. And I can't afford to just sit there and hope that things change. So last year I started to focus on something that I'd started doing in 2022, which was building up more side hustles. I could have just tried to find myself a job and gone back to the 9 to 5, but I haven't done that in a while, and that's not really how I work anymore. So instead I've decided to focus on increasing the number of side hustles I have, which means that my income is spread across different places, which means if one thing goes down, the other incomes are still there. So I have passive income streams. So I have interest from savings, and saving rates are kind of hanging in there at the moment. I also earn money from taking surveys and doing market research. I'm now earning from YouTube. I have a little part-time job that I started in September last year, which is making a difference. And I got signed on to Universal Credit. And I'm just sticking everything into the pot. So I spent certainly the second half of last year focused more on other streams of income than my business. And I just don't feel like I've made any progress with the business. And I realise that that's partly my fault because I've given up on advertising and marketing. I don't see the point. I've made less because if you're not selling it, what's the point in carrying on making it? I have, rails and boxes full of stuff for sale. I'm not lacking in any stuff that's for sale. And my heart has really gone out of it. And the other thing is that I had my Shopify store and it was getting some traffic, which was I was getting through my social media accounts because I tagged it on there, and YouTube started to garner it some traffic, but I made no sales. No sales last year in all those months that I was there. And the icing on the cake was last week. So third week of January, suddenly I made my first sale on my Shopify store. And I was so bowled over by it because I was beginning to think that I hadn't set my processes up properly and it didn't work. Like, you couldn't check out or something. I'd done the tests and it looked like it worked, but because no one had bought anything, I thought maybe it doesn't work and people just aren't messaging me and telling me the system doesn't work. But it worked. So I sold one of my dresses, sent it off. It needed to be there for a party for a certain date, and Royal Mail cocked up and didn't deliver it. So the dress missed its party date, and now she wants a refund. You couldn't make it up, could you? So that's been incredibly frustrating. So thanks, Royal Mail, for not delivering when you're supposed to, and not reminding your postman they have to actually knock on the door when they're delivering. People on the other side of the doors aren't psychic. So I'm going to try and complain and go through all that, but you know what Royal Mail are like. They're useless. They're basically useless. I don't think I'll be using them again for a last minute sale. So that dress is winging its way back, and then I have to pay the girl back. I'm really frustrated. On the other hand, I know the system now works. So it has given me a little lift because I'm in less doubt about the process now. Now I understand how easy Shopify is to make sales and all that sort of thing. So I need to focus more on that. I do need to focus on driving more traffic to my Shopify store. I need this to be a job for 2024. So if you're watching this, go and have a look. I'll put my links are already in my channel information. Everything is there. And I do get traffic there, and I think that I'm probably now appearing on Google searches and things. I think I've appeared in various different places. I am still getting some sales on Etsy. It's very up and down. So I am going to keep a lot of things there because having both income streams at the moment until Shopify becomes, hopefully at some point, an actual income channel. I mean, I don't need to make much money on Shopify to make a nice profit. If I could sell 2 or 3 dresses a month, that is all I need to do. But I just feel so worn out, and I didn't realise how worn out I felt about 2023 until I think probably about a week ago. I think probably when I made that sale, I had this sudden realisation that, oh my God, what was going on in 2023? That said, my income for last year is better than 2022. But that's because I've been focusing on all these other little side hustles that I'm doing. And at the moment, all that really matters is everything going into the same pot. All that matters is paying the rent, affording food, the basics of life at the moment. And I know that people are hoping that 2024 is going to be a good year. The things will start to pick up that will come through this cost of living crisis. The predictions that I've seen is that 2024 is going to be more of 2023 and that things will start to pick up next year, 2025. I hope it's not going to be that long, but I've been in recessions before and they never just last a year. These things do tend to hang around a bit longer, so I am not expecting any miracles this year. And the bottom line is, am I making enough to survive? And it doesn't matter where the money comes from. So that became my focus last year, was just making the money any way I could. And it feels safer because in the same way that I opened Shopify so that I didn't have all my eggs in one basket with Etsy, spreading my income across multiple side hustles, and I now count my business as a side hustle. It's no longer a business, it's like a paying hobby again now because it's lost so much income in the last year. But it's still there, it still exists, and it's not costing me money to run because it's my spare room at home. So I'm not hemorrhaging money in business rates or rent or anything like that. So it's all very compact and it's all quite simple. So I just need to just carry on. But I do need to shake a leg and start thinking seriously about what improvements I can make this year. I keep thinking about trying Pinterest again, but I'm just not feeling it. So I don't know where to go from here. For the moment, I will just carry on because the things that I am doing are making more money, and that's a good thing. But I don't know. It's not like I can influence consumer behaviour. If we're all just kind of hunkering down and just paying the basics, no one's really buying dresses and fancy jewellery and one-offs and things like that. I am selling the occasional thing on Etsy. I think most of the stuff that I sell on Etsy is haberdashery, so other makers, but I do also sell some of the coasters. So I think that it's either someone's home decor, maybe they've redecorated a room and they need that one thing, or they're buying them as gifts. That's fine. But I'm not selling their apparel. That's where the money is. And I don't know what the market is for weddings and proms and whatever this year. I don't know whether people are splashing out regardless. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it because I just can't face it right now. I just feel tired. And the winter just drains your creative energy. So I'm hoping that once spring starts to make an appearance, start to get a feel for spring towards the end of February, that I will get that energy back. Sometimes we have days here where it's suddenly really warm, like tomorrow I think it's going to be out 14 and 10 at night, which is really bizarre. And that will put a little spring in my step because I'm not sitting here in my great big thermal hoodie trying to keep warm because I daren't put the heating on. Anyway, I wasn't going to do that. I thought several times, shall I do this post? Because who wants to hear another moaner at the moment? But it's also relatable because there will be lots of people working from home like me. Little creative hubs in their spare bedrooms, in their spare rooms, or in the corner of the living room, making stuff and thinking, where did all the customers go? The customers didn't go anywhere. They're just being mindful of what they have. And I certainly don't expect people to buy my stuff if they're struggling to pay rent or energy bills. I would put that kind of pressure on people. So I think that's what's going on. I think we're all just hunkering down. January's always bad. It's credit card bill month for post-Christmas. And I think a lot of people will be paying off Christmas for most of this year. I think it's a fairly well-known statistic that people are often still paying off Christmas from last year when they're buying for the next year, because people still feel the pressure to spend at Christmas. Anyway, I'm going to end that post there. I'm sure there are people out there watching this going, yeah, I know what you mean. That's how I feel. But do add comments. I really do want to grow this channel. My other channel is doing so well. I'm just so amazed and blown away by how well it's doing. And I would like to not necessarily get to monetization on this channel, but just to get a bit more traffic, push things around a bit. Maybe I'm not putting in the right hashtags for small business. Should I be targeting small business or should I be targeting consumers? I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle. I haven't really found where this channel belongs. I watch a bunch of other handmade business YouTube accounts and they're quite focused, but they've also been running a lot longer than me, so they really know what they're doing. Anyway, I'm going to shut up because I think I've been talking for long enough. Hope you're all doing well. Hope that wherever you are in the world, the weather's been kind to you. It's not been kind here today. It's so cold. It's just so cold. But I will speak to you again soon. Oh, and I did finish my last coaster. I really like that. So it's made from the fabric that I made that summer dress out of, which is this slightly chintzy floral fabric. And you can see how those colours have reflected in the braiding. So that's going to be up on both my Etsy and my Shopify store in the next couple of days. I've just done the video and the photographs, so now I just need to get it uploaded. So that'll give me something to do. So, speak to you soon. Stay well. Bye bye.